Are you neurodivergent and you want to start a business, but you're kind of all over the place and don't seem to be able to make traction in what you want to do? I'm going to share how I helped one of my clients work through this. You're neurodivergent. Sometimes we have a lot of hyperfixations. And if you have a very entrepreneurial spirit, you're like, well, how can I make a business or money out of all these things? And that's great. But if we're spreading our energy too thin, it's not going to gain the traction that you want it to. The reverse side of that, we can't hyper focus on one thing because we like to chase dopamine, and so we need newness and freshness, and so that's why sometimes we get burnt out and we don't want to continue doing that thing because it's gotten stuck and stagnant. If you are putting all your eggs in all these different baskets, sometimes we have a fear that one of them is going to fail, and so we want to have a whole bunch of them because we're like, oh, well, if I have a whole bunch then I can make more money. But the only issue with that is we're spreading the energy again too thin, and you're not taking the action steps that you need to, like big enough action steps, because you're trying to take all these micro steps on all these different planes. Find you some pillars, okay, like 2 or 3 things that you can focus on and just rotate through those, because then it keeps it new and fresh and helps your dopamine regulation, but you can still take big enough steps to make forward movement. Now, the other piece of this is sometimes we're spreading ourselves too thin in all these different arenas because you have abandonment and trust wounds. That's where people-pleasing, hyper-independence, and perfectionism come through as well. We've got those, and then we've got abandonment and trust wounds up underneath them. You've had a lot of people let you down, whether it's parents, teachers, guardians, relationships. What ends up happening is you start to feel like you can only trust self, and that's where the hyper independence comes from. And sometimes we don't want to take a leap of faith on the things that we want to bring into our reality or create, because we're like, the greatest hurt that I can inflict on myself is failing self, because at the end of the day, all you have is you. So we have a lot of different layers going on here, okay? So in order to heal the abandonment and trust wounds, you're going to have to process the emotions with your inner children and through your chakras so you can get to the root of it. So this is going to take some shadow work on your end to heal those base things, because abandonment and trust wounds will wreak havoc in all areas of your life. If you want to learn more about inner child healing, I have a multidimensional magic course where I go very in depth on how to release these things. I also offer one-on-one sessions. They're called soul alignment sessions. You can go to my profile and click, and all of the information is there. And let me know in the comments too if this message resonated with you, if you feel like this is you and you have all these different layers that you're currently working through.